151 is exploding right now, and it doesn't show many signs of stopping. However, I'm not really willing to buy some of these cards at all time highs, quickly rising prices. Instead, I think there are some cards that are seriously being overlooked, most of them under the $10 price point. We're going to go rapid fire and take a look at them. I'm PokeHunterJeff. If you enjoy this content, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. So let me first say that a lot of these cards are going to be illustration rares, all SNV era. The reason most of these are IRs is, they have an even worse gem rate than SIRs. Scarlet and Violet era is just right now known for some really bad gem rates, at least on most of the cards, and IRs are just terrible. What that does is it drives long-term PSA 10 growth. Those prices are going to be sky high, which in turn will affect the price of the raw cards as well. So you can see on my screen, first card I've got on this list is Ludicolo. I said we're going to go rapid fire, so we're going to go as fast as we can. But guys, $2. I know Phantasmal Flames hasn't been out that long, but it is kind of going crazy right now. The prices keep rising. This card is as cheap as it's been. Maybe 20 cents off. Extremely cheap. It's a cool artwork. I love the colors on it. $2. I would grab it if you can. Next up, we got the Hydrapple from Destined Rivals. I get that, a lot of these cards are not going to be the most favorite, but they're $2, $3, $4, and you'll see we'll work up into kind of the $15, $20 range by the end of this, and some of those are still either at all-time lows or near all-time lows. This card hasn't really been cheaper than this, $2.70. Next, we've got the Arven's Greedent, 205 from Destined Rivals. This card, the colors on it really pop in person. I like it. Arven is a popular character from the game. Again, pretty much at all-time lows. $3. You could do a lot worse. Next up, we got the Zacian. This is a really cool card, too, if you get to see it in person. And we're talking about a legendary from the Sword and Shield games. $3. Never been cheaper. It's just kind of been riding this low for a while, but demand is high. Look at this. 370 sold, 419, 500 sold in a week. That's crazy. I don't think that this stays at this price for very long. Dugong. Not a lot of Dugong cards out there, and this one with the Aurora in the sky, it's super cool. 362. Looking at the 1-year chart, 6-month chart, because it hasn't been out that long, all-time low. You can only slam these cards down so much from release. That's typically when it's the best time to buy some of these. $3, I would grab it. Probopass from Twilight Masquerade. I've said it a few times now in a couple of videos. Cards that feature other Pokemon in the art usually do very well over time. This one, you got a Bidoof Butt, you got a Starly, a Lotad, Boltund. I think this is really cool. You get a lot of Pokemon in the art, a lot of value there for me. Looking at the 1-year chart, kind of bouncing back right now, and look at this demand, guys. It is skyrocketing for this card. Twilight Masquerade doesn't have that much life left in it. It's not like it's going out of print in April like some of the other earlier S&V sets. However, I don't think we're going to get much more Twilight Masquerade. Okay, Flygon from Phantasmal Flames. I love Flygon, one of my favorite Pokemon. And again, you get a Trapinch, Vibrava, Bramblin, Lotad, all these different Pokemon below it. I think it's a cool art. It is almost $4 and essentially all-time low. Don't think it gets much cheaper than that. Zamazenta, we had the Zacian going as well. This is Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals will perform very well over time, essentially at all-time lows. Demand is rising. It's selling, let's see, we've got 484 currently listed on the market. This might be one of those more slow burn cards, but again, it's $4. And this chart isn't even, this is lightly played. So if we hop over to near mint, yeah, it's essentially at an all-time low, guys. Okay, Execute. Love this card. It pairs with the Alolan Executor from Surging Sparks. You can kind of see the shadows right here, but when you put the cards side by side, you can really tell that the arts connect. Huge fan of pink cards. I don't know why, but I feel like the art and the colors really pop whenever you have those. It's an original 151 Pokemon. If we go to the 1-year chart, it just bounced off of all-time lows. $4, I would grab it. This Lileep card, not the most popular Pokemon. Stellar Crown, not the most popular set, but again, a pink card. I like that this trainer is, clearly a huge Lileep fan. Not only do they have the Pokemon, but they've got Lileep mats on the floor. Pink card really pops in person. $5. It looks like it kind of rode around $4 for a while and just popped up to 5. I think this is one of those cards that will perform pretty well over time. Not going to be a huge gainer, but I think for $5, it's a pretty good pickup. Okay, Charge a Bug. Love that the concept in this card is, you're camping and this is essentially your battery pack Pokemon. I think that's a cool idea. Kind of a cartoony art style. Just been riding this low for a while now. $5. Next up, we got the Kecleon Surging Sparks. You can see the other different camouflage Kecleons in the background. I think it's cool. Surging Sparks will do well. We obviously got a lot of printing of it, but in a year from now, when we come up on the rotation out for Surging Sparks, Prismatic, those sets, some of these cards are going to start to rise. And for $5, I think you're going to be glad you got some of these cards. Okay, Mudsdale. Love this card. The Mudbray next to it, doing its absolute best to try and keep up with the Mudsdale. Just can't quite kick the hay barrel high enough. But guys, again, $5. Demand is rising for it. It's from Temporal Forces, so again, not rotating out this April, but it will be here before you know it. Prices will start rising. Sunflora, when I look at this card, I get the sense whenever you've been inside all day and it's a really bright sunny day outside and you walk out there and it's just blinding for a second, that is the feeling I get when I look at this card. But the colors really do pop on it. It's a beautiful card in person. Highly recommend it, essentially at all-time lows. All right, Team Rocket's Raticate. Again, some of these singles from Destined Rivals really have been beat down, but you get the Rocket Grunt in here. You get Raticate, a little Rattata in the background. It's pretty cool, essentially at all-time lows. I would get it. Meditite. So Chatot is in the background. It's essentially like a parrot Pokemon, but also like a songbird. I love that the Meditite is trying to meditate here and clearly is a little perturbed at the Chatot in the background. I think it's a cool art, nice colors, it really pops. This one is actually one of the few that we're looking at that is kind of rising a little bit. And I think it's just because people like these artworks that have, they can kind of read into it a little bit, into the situation. I do think this will perform very well. Stellar Crown, obviously not super popular, but that doesn't really hold much bearing on some of these cards. Furret, this is probably the cutest Furret card we've ever gotten. Journey Together, been a lot of printing of it, really been beaten down, and look how long this card has just rode this low of $5. Eventually it's going to go up, guys. It's not going to stay at $5 forever, and the fact that it's held this strongly for so long tells me that, and demand seems to sort of be rising for it a little bit. I don't think it's going to stay here for much longer. Okay, Relicanth. Another one with other Pokemon in it. The Lumineon, Tortuga, the Shelder. You've got all these different Pokemon in the background. Electros. It's, one of those kind of not really a fossil Pokemon, but it's in that same range with your Aerodactyl, Kabuto, Omanite, things like that. I think it's really cool. I love underwater cards. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I really like those. It's $5. Demand does seem to be rising for this pretty steadily, and it just bounced off all-time lows. All right, Mabastiff. This is a really cool card because we have the special illustration in Destined Rivals with Arven, but I think I might like this one better. Although it's not an SIR, I like that, I've got a couple of dogs. This is so real. The dog just laying by the table while you're preparing food, just hoping and praying for something to drop. I think it's great. Again, $5-6. Demand is rising pretty sharply for this. I don't think it stays at this price for long. Alolan Dugtrio, Surging Sparks. Colors on this one also really pop in person. I think it's an absolutely ridiculous Pokemon from the Alola region. Of all the Alola forms, this one is definitely the goofiest, but it has been riding this low of $6. I don't think it's going to stay there much longer. Spheal, this goofy boy. Surging Sparks, going to perform well. Just bounced off all-time lows. Are you seeing a similar story here with some of these cards? Rapidash. This might be one of my favorite Rapidash cards ever, aside from the one from Expedition. Um, really cool watercolor style art. I think it's being slept on. All-time lows. Demand for it is high. It's selling a ton of copies each week. Destined Rivals will perform very well. We all know that. Most popular mainline set in SNV. I think you should grab one. Houndour, a great Gen 2 Pokemon. I love all the other different Houndour in this. The little street dogs. $6-7. This little W shape I like. It's really double bottomed here. Although demand isn't, it doesn't seem to be increasing by some huge amount. Regardless, it's a popular Gen 2 Pokemon. Obsidian Flames is rotating out. Once that happens, I think we're going to see some sharp rises in those sets. Roggenrola, I like this art because you see them all marching in a line, and then this guy right here has just fallen over, dropped the bag a little bit. I think it's hilarious. $7. It bounced off of $5 back in September. Obviously, everything went crazy in October, November timeframe last year. It came right back down, and look what it's doing again. It's bouncing back up. This is from White Flare, Black Bolt. Both those sets will do very well. I don't think we're getting much more product of those, even though they're going to be in print for a while. They're just, harder sets, I feel like, for Pokemon Company to print, as opposed to your Destined Rivals, Prismatic, things like that. Sandygast. This is a super sad card. Someone tell me if I'm wrong here, but this just looks like, all the kids were playing in the sandbox all day. End of the day has come, and everyone has just left Sandygast by himself. He looks super sad. And because of that, I think it's going to do really well. It's already kind of taking off a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see where the price on this card goes. But it is Paldea evolved. It is rotating out. I honestly think it goes higher. Skarmory. I love this Pokemon. I think it's really cool that, the sheen, like the metallic sheen on the Pokemon matches the van underneath it. I think that's pretty cool. $7, essentially bouncing off of all-time lows. Pretty good to me. This Shiftry card, one of the coolest Shiftries we've ever received. This has actually been I've been trying to hoard a couple of these just over time because I really think this card's being slept on. Temporal Forces, got a little bit of print life left in it, but realistically, how much more Temporal Forces are we going to get? I don't think much more. It's double bottomed off that $6 price point. It's starting to rise again. I think that will continue. Chatot, if you don't know the story of this card, the power lines or the clotheslines going across the card actually represent like music sheets. And so the placement of the Chatot Pokemon in this art are like musical notes. I don't remember exactly what the song is. It might just be the Pokemon theme song. So if someone knows, drop that in the comments. But when I found that out, I was like, oh, I've got to add this card to the binder for sure. Next up, we've got the Iron Jugulus. Not the biggest fan of future ancient Pokemon. However, this card in person really pops. I love the purples and oranges and pinks of the sunset with the black, like starry sky in the background. It really pops in person. Looks really nice in a binder. I think it will perform well. Paradox Rift is rotating out. Again, when sets rotate out, cards tend to rise in price. It is just now bouncing off all-time lows as well. Slackoth, Surging Sparks. I love this card. The Lazy Boy in an open field. Surging Sparks, again, will do well. It's kind of just been going back and forth between these lows from like $7 up to $9, not quite $10. Right now, $8, right in between both of those. I think it's a good time to pick it up. Porygon Z in the DJ booth. I don't know how this card is being overlooked so much. I think it's a really cool concept for it that Porygon Z, which is essentially just a program Pokemon, it's in there running the DJ booth, running the radio station, whatever it is. Um, Hit a low of $7, bounced off of it, and is just slowly rising. Again, Paradox Rift going out of print. I think that rise is going to continue. Herdier, not really like a huge story to this card, but I do love that you get the Lillipup on the frame in the background. So, like, obviously, this owner has had it from a Lillipup. It's grown up, just chilling on the couch, being a chill boy. I like it from White Flare. I think it'll do well, essentially at all-time lows. Blaziken, one of my favorite Blaziken cards that has ever been made. Love that it's like kicking the camera is what it looks like. Destin Rivals, great set. It is at an all-time low. Demand is rising for it. This card is going to do very well, and actually it's one of my favorites on this list for today. Next up, we got the Pinsir from Twilight Masquerade. Love the art style on this one as well. Original 151 Pokemon, double bottomed off of $8 about. It's sitting right at 10 right now. Demand is kind of stable for it. And Twilight Masquerade, again, not going to get much more printing. I think it's a great pickup. Marshadow, everyone knows this card from Mega Evolution when it shot up to, what was it, $92. That was obviously way too fast of a rise, way too high for this card. Everyone freaked out at the Pikachu cameo in here. It is just absolutely plummeted to $10, but I don't think that's very fair. I do think this card is worth more than that. It's really leveled off at this price, and I don't think it's going to get much cheaper. This is the time to pick up this card. Gimme Ghoul, Paradox Rift, rotating out, popular Pokemon, cool art style, double bottomed off of $9. It's $10 now. You can't really ask for much better of a price point, and demand is rising for it. Infernape, really cool card. Twilight Masquerade, again, not much print life left in it. It bounced off a bottom of about $7.50. It's $10 right now, but just a year ago it was $15. I think you can make a 15% return on your money fairly quickly on this card. Loudred, really, probably the coolest Loudred card to ever exist. The colors on this are insane. Love it. Paradox Rift, it's rotating out. Double bottom off of $9, currently sitting at 10. Great pickup. Garbodor, again, one of those cards that pops in person. Love the colors. Dude is, king of the trash mountain. Paradox Rift, rotating out. It was as low as $7.70 to pick it up back in July. Yeah, July, August of last year. It's just kind of been on a slow rise. Even though demand hasn't been extremely high, it's been on a slow rise and it's rotating out. I think that will continue. Crocolore, you could honestly say this for all the middle evolutions in Paldea Evolved for the S&V starter Pokemon. The starters and the IR, well, really the starters are the most expensive for good reason. The SIRs, I think, are extremely undervalued as well, but we're mainly focusing on IRs today. And for all three of them, I think they are great pickups. Their demand is slowly rising, maybe pretty stable, but honestly, $10. This card will be worth more than $10 easily. Wailord, again, one of my absolute favorites on this list. Journey Together. I really don't understand how this card has not risen more in the past year. It's stayed pretty stable here at this low of $11. That's not going to last forever, though, guys. Like, Journey Together will eventually go out of print. We did see a lot of printing of it, but for $11, I absolutely love this art, and I think it's going to start rising here fairly soon. Vulpix, also Mega Evolution, I know, relatively new set, but I still don't think it's going to go lower than where it's at right now. $12. It really got hammered from 27. It seems like everyone I talk to loves the artwork in this card. I would be surprised if it gets much cheaper than $12. Maybe, $10. I could see it going down slightly more, but honestly, this is a very popular Gen 1 Pokemon. I think it's going to do very well. Armorogue, trying to stay out of the rain a little bit, keep dry. Really love the art style on this. Scarlet and Violet base set, as we know, rotating out in April. This card is currently $12, a nice little double bottom off of the $10 price point. We're going to see a rise in this as well. Drampa, I love that this is like a Studio Ghibli style card. At least that's the feeling I get from it. You get Butterfree in the art flying around as well. I think there's some value there. Yes, this is one of the few on the list that is seeing a rise, or at least year over year has been kind of a small gain. But it's not like it's really taken off. It just bounced really hard off of the $9 price point because people realized it's not worth that. But even at $13, I think it's worth more. Meowth from Phantasmal Flames, really cool that you get the old style, Pokemon Center in the background. You've got all-time low. Demand is very high for it, selling hundreds and hundreds of copies a week. You can see a slight little increase here. Not that that's a clear indicator because it's not like this card has been out for super long, but I do think that's about as cheap as this card gets. One of my favorites on this list for sure. Here's an SIR that I did add in. I had it in a different video as well, but I really want to emphasize this card because Sun and Moon were super popular games. They were not as popular, obviously, as Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, but they were popular. And of the Tapu cards, Tapu Pokemon, Tapu Koko is probably the favorite. And the colors on this card are super cool. It's an SIR, relatively hard to pull. Paradox Rift is going out of rotation. It has double bottomed off of the $13 price point twice now, and I don't think it's going back. I think that is as low as that card gets, and it will be a slow rise. Next SIR I have is Pidgeot from Obsidian Flames, also rotating out, original 151 Pokemon. It, tells that story with the Pidgey and the Pidgeotto of the different routes. They're all kind of not connecting arts, but relating arts, and it's been a slow gainer over the past year. I think that will continue to rise as well. Again, one of my favorite IRs from this list, Articuno, Journey Together, legendary 151 Pokemon, essentially at an all-time low. I think the chart might even be a little bit off on this. I think it was cheaper than 15 at one point. I think you could have picked up this card for close to $12, which if you did, fantastic buy. But even now at $16, I don't think it's going lower. I think it's up from here. It might, stay stable for a little bit, but I do think that that's about as cheap as it gets. Also love the Yveltal. Really, really cool artwork. Paradox Rift going out of rotation. It bounced pretty hard off of the $13 price point because, again, people realize it's worth more than that. It will continue to rise as well with it going out of rotation. And then for the last two cards on this list, I've got a couple of box toppers. I've got In's Reshiram, Journey Together, stamped promo from the booster box, box topper, legendary Pokemon featuring a popular trainer. You get the stamp on there. It's been kind of this slow rise from $12 and it's 17 right now. I think the reason it's been on that slow rise is it's not really going back. There's a very limited amount of copies of this because they only came in the booster box. Same with the next card. Bulbasaur, Mega Evolution, probably top 3 picks on this entire list. This card is not going to stay at this price. I think that this is as low as it gets. I have 100% confidence in that. If it drops, I will be stunned because, again, limited copies with it being that stamped box topper at $17. The PSA 10s for this thing are going for like $400. Like it's crazy hard to grade in a PSA 10, which is going to drive value for the raw card over time. I think that this is, one of the best ones on this list to grab. But that's what I've got today, guys. Tried to go as rapid fire as I can because I know it was a lot of cards. Put in the comments what your favorite one was. We went through a lot. Most of them under $10, even the ones that are over, still really good buys. Some of them bouncing off all-time lows. I just think there's a lot of these being overlooked right now that are going to be significant gainers as the years go on. But guys, again, if you like this content, then like, comment, subscribe, and let's get hunting.